This is television for the Isles of Scilly, brought to you with Worldwide Financial Planning, Truro and Penwith College, and the Scilly Lottery. From Radio Scilly, this is scillytv.com.
We've got a total of £3,558.36p, which is extremely good. We're about £700 up on last year, so we're really pleased. And I would like to thank everybody that helped on that day, took part, and got the sponsors and that, because it's made a splendid total for us. With the recession going on, we thought it would hit us more this year than it did last year. But in point of fact, over the whole year, with the coffee mornings and the different things we've had, we're well over about 7,500 already. And we still have a lunch in October to come, which June Jones is doing at the Bell Rock, so please keep a lookout for posters for that. And June is also running a raffle, which is ongoing, with some superb prizes, and people have been again so generous to us that we are very, very grateful indeed. No, it seems to go pretty well. We tightened up on the sponsor money this year. We would like it to come in a little bit quicker than it has done, but we can work on that really. And but people are just excellent in giving their time. Yeah, anybody that would like to come and help is also very welcome. We're quite happy to have new people. Got a good committee, very friendly. We do like new people, and they give their time so willingly. And if somebody can just come and give an hour occasionally, it would be rather nice. You don't have to turn out for everything, because that's not what we do.
Mention the word bat, and it brings either fear or fascination. Islanders and visitors have had a chance to see images and read books about the species, as well as hearing the sound of the bats that inhabit Scilly. Mike and Anne Gurr of the island's bat group were attendees at the Wildlife Trust Fun Day on Holgate's Green. Bat enthusiasts can spot the difference from sounds picked up on their bat detector. This is a pipistrelle. And this is a noctule bat. Mike says the recordings were made using a receiver that locks onto their frequency, which is above the range of the human ear.
And what the bat detector does is to translate the sonic calls of the bat, which we can't actually hear, into a sound that we can hear.
The group's gained more prominence in the past 3 years as a body that has a say in planning decisions. In our island's conservation area, which covers all of Scilly, the presence of bats in a building where major works are proposed could potentially slow up development. But that's in theory. Mike explains it's never actually happened.
I don't know whether it surprises or not. It's just a fact that I'm not sure how many buildings we've surveyed in the 3 years that we've been doing it, but on average I should think a dozen every year, and we still haven't found any. Whether it surprises us, I don't really know. We didn't know really what to expect when we started this business.
As consultees for the planning process, the bat groups never had hassle here, but that's not the case up country.
I mean, one thing when we started as bat wardens, that we were both a bit apprehensive that we might encounter people who are, slightly resentful, shall we say, or worried in case we would find bats. And in every single case, I think, we found nothing but interest and cooperation with the householders in Scilly. And that is in marked contrast. I went to a bat meeting in Devon last year, and the people there who were talking were actually bat wardens who had been to visit properties where there was where they needed to survey the roof or the building for planning purposes. And they had encountered the most dreadful antagonism and sometimes amounting to violence. And we haven't found that at all here. The people have been most interested and most cooperative.
The bats roost in small numbers. Mike says he's no idea where they live on the islands, but would like to know.
I think it would very rarely end up with a situation where you had to say that particular building couldn't take place. one might have to say, well, if you can delay that for 2 or 3 months when we know that they will have moved out of the roost, if there's a maternal roost, for example, which would be there from, say, April until August, say, then they move out and they go into other roosts in 1s and 2s. So it might mean delaying your building project until that's happened.
There's now so much interest in the bats, they're limiting the number on the bat group walks and advising you book in advance through the Wildlife Trust on St Mary's Quay. These are our island's business entrepreneurs of the future, hatching their latest ideas. Experienced and respected names in industry and business have been developing the entrepreneurial skills of islanders this week. 10 pupils from North Somerset, which partners with our council in delivering education, have come over to Scilly to work with island's youngsters in putting together their ideas for business projects. The sessions at Carn Thomas have seen a team of experts brought together by former chair of the Regional Development Agency, Juliet Williams, offering advice and giving information on starting businesses.
I'm here because of my interest in Scilly and the opportunity that it can create for its youngsters of today and the way in which they can influence the economy tomorrow.
The youngsters have had to invent, create and sell their business ideas. David Cartwright is Managing Director of Oxford Business Development.
We've got 4 teams running this week, and each team has to come up with their own business idea, and in fact, we've just had a session where we've actually heard the first draft of what their ideas are. So they've got to promote their idea, they've got to present their idea, and that is not just about we've got a nice idea. This is something that they will have done research on, this is something that they will have costed, this is something they'll have done financial projections on. So they present this to a team of 4 from 4 islanders, I guess.
The team of visiting experts have been impressed with the islanders' business acumen. Roger Mumby-Croft says living on islands can make you resourceful.
Oh, I think so. I mean, I think the whole business of living on an island makes you more, in some ways, makes you more adaptable, makes you more self-reliant, you know, because you have to, I mean, kids jumping on ferries to get here in the morning, you know, so you don't get that on the mainland. So, yeah, I think there's a certain element of self-reliance and enterprise which is inherent in living in an environment like this.
Juliet Williams says some of the ideas presented have been impressive.
Well, there are 3 products out there. There's a board game, for example, that represents all those areas and attractions on Scilly. And it's really quite sophisticated what they've created. And they'll promote it on the web, they'll promote it through guest houses, and they've got aspirations of on the Solonian, and indeed, obviously, in all the appropriate outlets, both on the islands and indeed up at the airport and so on and so forth. So they're being quite creative in the way in which they're doing it. There's an interesting psychedelic clock, and there are a number of other really interesting ideas. So I think they've been very creative and very innovative with what they're trying to do. So you never know, the new industrial park could actually be populated by young people before we're very much older.
The visiting youngsters and islanders then had to pitch their ideas in a scene reminiscent of TV's Dragon's Den to Chairman of the Steamship Company Andrew May and Council Director of Finance Peter Lawrence. The Chief Constable of Devon and Cornwall has stepped in to reinstate an islandswoman who was told she had to leave the force's employment because she's too old. Devon and Cornwall Police have a retirement policy where you have to leave age 65. Maggie Perkovich, who cleans once a week at the police station in St Mary's, is over that age and was told by personnel that she had to go. Radio Scilly contacted Chief Constable Stephen Otter and he's reversed the decision. Maggie says she's delighted.
Well, it's quite wonderful. As you know, a few weeks ago we were saying, unfortunately, that I have to leave, and though I asked them to keep me on, no bureaucracy said you must go, you're over 65, there's the end of it. But thanks to this delightful Chief Constable that was over here, he intervened and he cut the bureaucracy, as the sergeant called me to tell me this morning, and that I'm allowed to continue as I'm doing now, cleaning on the Sunday evening, a couple of hours, under the auspices, obviously, of the resident policemen on the station here and answerable to them. And I'm very pleased about it because it means I can prolong my job and I'm not on the scrap heap as I thought I would be.